Hello students. Now in this lecture we are going to see one more technique in which we are able to deposit a thin film. Okay. So the name of the technique is electrodeposition, or it is also called as electroplating. Okay. So you can see, as the name suggests, electrodeposition means basically we are using some electric field, okay, and we have some kind of an anode and cathode, among which, across which we are applying an external electric voltage, and the whole this system, okay, these two electrodes are immersed in a chemical bath, which includes the precursors which are dissolved in the solvent. So the precursor are present in the form of ions. Okay. So if we are increasing the voltage, then after a particular voltage, the deposition on the substrate is take place. And if this happens, then this type of deposition is called as electrodeposition, or sometime it is also called as electroplating, because in most of the cases we are depositing a metal on the substrate of other metal. Okay. So most of the times, in order to reduce the corrosion of some metal, you can deposit some other material which will be non-corrosive. So for that kind of applications, most of the times this system it utilized at an industrial level. So in that case, it is also called as electroplating. Okay. So let us try to understand the system in a more detailed version. So electrodeposition is a long established way to deposit metal layers on conducting substrate. Now here you have to keep this in mind, that in the electrodeposition system, okay, your substrate should be in a conducting state. Okay. So it should conduct electricity through the substrate. Okay. So you can take any metal based substrate like copper, okay, nickel, okay, that kind of uh, thin thin slices of metals can be used, or you can also use stainless steel substrate, okay, aluminum substrate. Okay. In addition to that, there are some um, um, other substrates uh, which are basically glass based systems, but on that glass there is a deposition of transparent conducting oxides. So these substrates are transparent in nature, but they can conduct electricity, and the material which are getting deposited on these glass substrates are fullerene doped tin oxide or indium doped tin oxide. So these kind of substrates are required for the deposition uh, with the help of the this electrodeposition technique. So this is an essential and important condition, that we have to use a conducting substrate. Okay. So electroplating, as you can see, the system is shown, okay, in the schematic representation, where you can see that the electroplating is the process by which a metal gets deposited over the other. So one metal you can deposit on the other metal. For example, copper you can deposit on stainless steel substrate, okay, in the presence of an metal salt. So the copper should be present in the some copper salt like copper sulfate, copper nitrate, copper acetate. Okay, and you have to dissolve that salt, metal salt, in the aqueous solution. Okay, so if this is the case, then you can imagine that you have a tub, okay, as shown in the schematic. Okay, you have a tub bath. Okay, and in that tub you have metal salt is dissolved in the solvent. So now you have metal ions. Okay, now you have the metal ions, and then you have a anode, and cathode is the plate where it can be acted as a substrate. Okay, so on the cathode the material is going to deposit. So the nanocrystalline material of that metal is going to deposit on the cathode. Okay, and this anode and cathode, they are immersed in a liquid electrolyte. They are immersed in a liquid electrolyte, and that electrolyte is basically conducting in nature. So this is not a normal water, but some KOH or NaOH kind of a salt you have to insert so that this electrolyte become conducting in nature. Then you can see that the substrate has to be connected to the negative terminal of the supply, and the positive terminal of the supply is connected to the anode. Okay, so when you apply a certain voltage, the current is flowing through the system. Okay, and because there is an electrolyte, okay, so the circuit get completed. Okay, so this is the way where there is an arrangement for the deposition of a metal on another metal using the electrodeposition technique. In this process, the water molecule is given out as an end product. So basically, as I said, the metal salt has to be dissolved in some sort of solvent, okay, like a water. Okay, and then in that case the water molecule is given out at an end product. So once the reaction is completed, so the output is nothing but a type of water which is non-hazardous. Okay, hence the principle behind electroplating is hydrolysis. So this is the hydrolysis process in which basically the metal is get converted, metal ions is getting converted into thin film of metal through the process of hydrolysis. Okay, so the ions in solution are deposited onto the negatively charged cathode. Now cathode is nothing but the substrate, and the ions in the solution, the metal ions in the solution, they are get deposited on the negatively charged cathode. The cathode is negatively charged and the metal ions are positively charged. So because the metal ions are positively charged, they get attracted towards the negatively charged cathode, and there is an type of an interaction take place in such a way that your metal ions get deposited on the substrate. So these metal ions carry a charge at a rate that is measured as a current in the external circuit, and because of that there is a movement in the positive ions, metal ions, and negative ions. Okay, and the circuit has got completed. So in this way there is a flow of electric current, okay, through these two plates. Okay, because we are applying a certain voltage. So the process is relatively cheap, okay, and fast, and allows complex shapes. So this is a kind of an advantage we are talking about, that the electrodeposition technique is cheap in the sense that we don't need very high sophisticated instruments which are very costly. Okay, so easily we can do this electrodeposition technique with using some sort of bath or electrolyte and an external power supply and two electrodes. Okay, so that is enough. Okay, so and it is a fast. Okay, fast means you don't need to wait for longer time. Okay, if you want the deposition, okay, depending upon your thickness or the rate of deposition or the voltage you have applied. Okay, so all these parameters basically matter, but you don't need more than 10 to 15 minutes. That is enough for you to get a good quality of thin film. Okay, so that is a fast in that sense, and allows complex shapes. Meaning is that suppose your substrate is not flat. Okay, suppose the substrate has some kind of an structure. Okay, so the surface of the substrate is not flat. Okay, the substrate has some nano features, or it is not a flat in shape, it is round in shape, or some other type of shape is there. So still in that case we are able to make the deposition using this electrodeposition technique. So the rate of deposition, that is very important. Okay, so rate of deposition is nothing but how much amount of material is going to deposit per unit time. So what thickness of the material is going to deposit per unit time. So the unit is nanometer per second. So that rate of deposition is depends on several factors. So first factor is the current density, that you can easily understand. If I increase more voltage, more current will flow. Okay, and the rate of deposition will increase. If the voltage, applied voltage is less current will flow, and the deposition rate will be slow. Second is the distance between the cathode and anode. If I keep cathode and anode at a very long distance, then the rate of deposition will be low. If I keep them at sufficiently low distance, okay, the separation between the anode and cathode will be sufficiently low, then the deposition will be high. Rate of the deposition will be high. Next one is the concentration of electrolyte. As I said, the electrolyte is should be conducting, so NaOH or KOH. So depending upon the concentration of that electrolyte, the rate of deposition may get changed. Okay. The next point is the layer thickness simply depends on the time for which the constant current flows. Now imagine a situation, okay, where all these three parameters which we have discussed, that is the current density, distance between the cathode and anode, and concentration of electrolyte, if all are same, okay, if all these parameters are constant, okay, then in that case the thickness is directly proportional to the duration of deposition. Okay, so if you keep it for longer duration, then the thickness of the thin film will be higher. If the duration for the electrodeposition is less, then the thickness of the thin film will be low. Okay, so accordingly you can also change the thickness of the thin film, but in that case you have to keep constant all other parameters. The deposition can be detached if the substrate is chosen to be soluble by dissolving it away. Okay, so if the deposition will be strong enough if your substrate is conducting and highly stable in alkaline electrolyte solution. Okay, but if your substrate, okay, is not that stable, it is started to dissolve in the electrolyte, then you will not get a high quality thin film, because it started to peel it off as the deposition is going on. So that is the necessary condition where you have to choose conducting substrate which is highly stable in the liquid electrolyte. Now let us try to understand what is the mechanism behind the deposition of nanomaterials during the electrodeposition process. Okay, so in order to understand this, okay, we have taken an example, okay, where it is a very simple example, okay, where you can see that there is a schematic representation of this technique, where you can see the cathode is a metal, okay, metal electrode, okay, that is a cathode like a stainless steel, okay, and anode we are taking as a copper foil, okay. So your cathode is a stainless steel foil, your anode is a copper foil, and we have used copper sulfate as a precursor, and we have dissolved it in the water, okay. So now we have the copper 2 plus ions and sulfate SO4 2 minus ions are present in the solution. In the same solution, we have to also use the NaOH, okay, or KOH as a uh, electrolyte, okay. So in that case, what you can see is what you can see yeah, so if you are not using the copper or sulfate ions, and if you want to use the copper which is from anode, then in that case you have to use this NaOH or KOH for where we call that as a electrodeposition, electroplating, okay. But here we are using copper 2 plus and SO4 2 minus as a precursor in the solvent, okay. So we are not using NaOH or KOH in this case, okay. So now as you can see that the cathode is connected to negative terminal of the power supply, anode is connected to positive terminal of the power supply. So obviously your copper is getting a lot of electrons, okay. So the copper is negatively charged it has a negatively charge on the surface of the cathode, okay. So this is an electrolytic cell for the deposition of copper from copper sulfate solution, okay. So just to understand how this copper is get deposited on the metal thin film, we have taken this we have taken it as a simple example, okay. So under the influence of an applied potential, okay, when we apply certain voltage, okay, so we have to uh, attain a particular voltage where the deposition will start, okay. So that we have to optimize because it depends upon the distance between the two electrolyte, okay. So in that case we have to optimize the voltage at which the deposition will get start. So under the influence of an applied potential, rearrangement of ions near the electrode surface results in an electrical double layer called the Helmholtz double layer, followed by the formation of a diffusion layer as shown in figure, okay. So first you have to imagine that in the electrolyte, when there is no applied electric potential, okay, then the copper 2 plus and SO4 2 minus ions, they are randomly, they are randomly moving in the solution, okay. So they are randomly moving, okay. So when we apply some potential, then what happens? Then because the surface of the cathode is negatively charged, okay, is negatively charged, okay. So there is a formation of an electrical double layer. There is a formation of an electrical double layer where there is a formation of electrical double layer very close at the surface of the cathode, okay. In that region there is a formation of an electric double layer. That electric double layer is also called as Helmholtz double layer, okay. That electric double layer is also called as Helmholtz double layer, and that Helmholtz layer is all followed by diffusion layer. So you can see this situation in the schematic representation of this image. So here you can see that we have zoomed it out the surface of the cathode, where you can see that the metal surface has a lot of electrons, okay, and they are negatively charged electrons. Now the copper 2 plus ions are positively charged, so they are get attracted towards these electrons, okay, and because positively charged copper ions are there, just next to copper ions there is a layer of SO4 2 minus ions because they are negatively charged, okay, and then there is a positively charged copper ions. So this is the alternate positive and negative layer is formed near the surface of the cathode, okay, and in rest of the electrolyte they are just randomly moving here and there, okay, because there is no influence of the potential. So the influence of the potential has been observed just near to the surface of the cathode. Now you can see that this is the representation where your x-axis is the distance, okay, your x-axis is distance and y-axis is potential, okay. Now you can see that when we are going far away from the cathode, then you can see that the potential of the electrolyte is constant. The electrolyte potential is constant because there is no influence of this electric field at a very long distance. So in that case the electrolyte potential is remains constant. But so in when the electrolyte potential is constant, okay, there is it means there is no driving force get acted on these positively and negatively charged ions, okay, so they are just randomly moving here and there, okay. But the ions, okay, which are coming close to the cathode, then as you are going closer and closer towards the cathode surface of the cathode, the potential is going to increase. The potential is going to increase, okay. So there are two main layers are formed. The first layer is called as a diffusion layer and second layer is called as an Helmholtz layer, okay. So these two layers is called as Gouy-Chapman layer. So these are the name of the scientist who basically formulated this methodology, okay, this theory. So we are giving the name as a Gouy-Chapman layer. So the Gouy-Chapman layer is basically nothing but the distance from the surface of the cathode up to which there is an influence of the applied electric field. So as you can see in the diffusion layer, the water molecule of the hydrated metal ion align, okay. So water molecules of the hydrated metal ions they get aligned, so that you can see that the water molecules of hydrated ions they get aligned in that region, okay. So your metal ions they started to diffuse, they just diffuse towards the in the Gouy-Chapman layer, okay. So after a particular distance, okay, once they diffuse towards the cathode, then there is a hydration, okay, hydrate envelope removed, okay. So in the Helmholtz there is a double layer, okay. In Helmholtz there is a double layer. So in one layer the absorbed hydrate envelope is removed, and in the another layer their ions they discharge, okay, they get discharged and absorbed, okay. So you can see that when these metal ions they get enter in the Helmholtz layer, then they first get hydrated, okay, and this hydrated envelope get removed because the water molecules is already hydrated metal ion, aligned metal ion, okay, and these hydrated metal ion which are aligned they help to remove the envelope of water molecule. Okay, and once they remove the envelope of water molecule, then they get in contact with the cathode, and this when the copper 2 plus ions get in contact with the metal, then there is an electrons are present. Okay, and because of that there is a discharge of the charges. Okay, copper 2 plus ion get discharged, and it get deposited on the cathode metal. Okay, so this is the way that the metal copper 2 plus is get deposited on the cathode. So that is what we have discussed based on the figure. Now these two layers are referred as Gouy-Chapman layer. That is what I already told you, that the Helmholtz layer and diffusion layer together are referred as Gouy-Chapman layer, and the process is happening as follows. So in the initial process there is a migration. The hydrated metal ions in the solution. Okay, so copper 2 plus is an hydrated metal ion. So that hydrated metal ion in the solution migrate towards the cathode under the influence of impressed current due to diffusion process. Right? So these hydrated copper 2 plus ions in the solution, they migrate towards the cathode under the influence of impressed current due to diffusion process. So diffusion process helps to take out these copper 2 plus ions, okay, into the Gouy-Chapman layer. Then once they diffuse inside the diffusion layer, okay, then there is an electron transfer. The first process is migration, second process is electron transfer. So in the second process, at the cathode surface, the hydrated metal ion enters the diffused double layer. Right? These hydrated metal ions, what they do? They enter the diffused double layer where the water molecules of the hydrated ion are aligned. So water molecules of hydrated ion are aligned and they get diffused through that. Then the metal ion enter the Helmholtz double layer where it is deprived of its hydrate envelope. It is called as a dehydration. Okay, so basically it breaks the envelope of these hydrated molecules, and which is called as an dehydration. The dehydrated ion is neutralized and adsorbed on the cathode surface. So this dehydrated copper 2 plus ion is neutralized because there is an exchange of an electron. Okay, so it get neutralized, and once it get neutralized, it get deposited on the cathode surface. The adsorbed atoms then migrates or diffuses to the growth point on the cathode surface. So these adsorbed atoms, okay, which get deposited on the thin film, then migrates or diffuses to the growth point on the cathode surface. So initially you can see there is also process of nucleation and growth. So initially some of the hydrated metal ions, they get neutralized and get deposited on the surface of the cathode. Likewise there is a formation of nuclei. Once there is a formation of nuclei, then more and more atoms they come and get deposited on the cathode. So there is a growth process. Okay, so so this is the working principle of the electrodeposition technique, and because of this, as I said, there is an important requirement about the substrate, is that the substrate should be conducting. If it is not conducting, then there will not be formation of this Gouy-Chapman layer, and if there is no formation of this layer, then it is not going to deposit. Okay. Second point is as you can see that as the anode is copper, right? So as I said that the copper can be directly electro plated on the metal. Okay, but at the same time we are using copper 2 plus or SO4 2 minus. Okay, so only copper 2 plus or SO4 2 minus can be used for the deposition of copper. But as we are using copper as an anode, then in that case this anode is basically helps to maintain the concentration of copper in the electrolyte. Okay, and huh, because of that there is a continue concentration is remain in the electrolyte. Okay, so that this is the way by which one is able to simply able to deposit this copper on the on any other metal. So what are the features of electrodeposition? Electrodeposition can be performed at low temperatures, which will minimize interdiffusion of materials in the case of a multi-layered thin film preparation. Okay, so electrodeposition can be performed at low temperature. As you see, there is no requirement of temperature. You can carry out this reaction at low temperature, at room temperature, and because of that there is a minimize interdiffusion of materials in case of multi-layered thin film preparation. So suppose if the requirement is that I want to deposit thin film which is multi-layer of aluminium and copper. Okay, so first layer will be copper, second layer will be aluminium, then third layer will be copper, fourth layer will be aluminium. Okay, so suppose if I want this kind of stacks of different metals, different layers, which I call this as a multi-layers. So for such kind of deposition, this electrodeposition technique is very important. Why? Because in this technique we are not using any high temperature. Okay, we can do it at low temperature. So at the interface, because the temperature is not very high, the interface of this aluminium and copper layer is remain sharp. There is no interdiffusion of aluminium in copper or copper in aluminium due to because of the high temperature. Okay, so it is not happening. So this it plays a very important role when you are when there is a requirement of multi-layer thin films of metals. The composition and defect chemistry can be controlled by the magnitude of the applied potential. Okay, so what type of composition you want a high defects or low defects, that you all can control with the applied potential. In general, potential is higher, the rate of deposition higher. If the rate of deposition is higher, means you are not allowing enough time to grow the material in an ideal way. So because of that, the defects are higher. Okay, pulsing or cycling the applied current or potential in a solution containing a mixture of precursor allow the production of multi-layered materials. Okay, now suppose for deposition of copper you need plus 2 volt. For deposition of aluminium, let us say you need 1 volt. So if you give a pulse, okay, let us say 2 volt for 2 minutes, okay, and 1 volt for 2 minutes, then when you apply 2 volt, then okay, so there is an you can use pulses of different potentials, so that you are able to get multi-layer thin films in the same condition. The final films can range in thickness from few nanometers to tens of microns and can be deposited onto large specimen areas of complex shape, making the process highly suitable for industrial use. So one more important thing is, if you want a very low very thin film, okay, of low thickness, okay, like in few nanometers, then you just do that for, okay, 1 minute or 30 seconds. You can just change use that enough of time, use a time interval which will just allow to deposit a very thin thickness film. But if you want a very high thickness film, then you can keep this process continuous for half an hour or 2 hour, okay, likewise, okay. And this is one advantage. Second advantage is you can uh, deposit this kind of materials on large specimen. So if the area of the specimen is large, if it is complex, okay, so all kind of shapes and size are okay with this kind of an system, okay. So that is why it is highly popular for industrial use, okay. As an example, you can see there is an electrode deposition for microelectronics. So you can see that the electrode deposition is being exploited now to make complex 3D electrical interconnects in computer chips. So suppose there are computer chips and you just want to deposit certain material in certain area of the chips, and the size and shape of the chip is very complex. So in that case, the electrode deposition materials grow from the conductive substrate outward, and the geometry of the growth can be controlled using an insulating mask, so called through the mask electrodeposition. So you can also use a mask which is non-conducting. So anything which is non-conducting can be acted as a mask, and the remaining area of the conducting material will be kept open, so that you are able to deposit that material only in that region, okay. So that is the advantage of this electrodeposition technique. You can see there is an electrochemically fabricated flip chip interconnects, and the SEM image of that interconnects is shown in the image, where you can see that it, where you can see that the shape is complex, but still on that type of an complex shape we are able to deposit a uniform deposition of metal. So what are the advantages and limitations of electrodeposition? So as far as I said, there are so many advantages. So this method can be used to grow the functional material through complex 3D mask. So you can use complex 3D mask, which will be basically a non-conducting in nature. So it can be acted as a mask, and through that mask you can just deposit different shapes of metal material, okay. So it can be performed at room temperature using water based electrolyte. Very big advantage of this. It can be scaled down to the deposition of few atoms or to large dimensions. So thickness can be also tuned with a very simply, you can just minimize your potential, okay. And if you keep for very low time of deposition, then you can get a very ultra thin film. The disadvantage is that the major drawback is it needs conducting substrate or seed layer, okay. If the substrate is not conducting, at least there should be some seed layer of conducting material. As far as the electric voltage is so the circuit is completed, the electric current will flow, then only there is a deposition of the material. Otherwise, if you want to deposit any semiconductor or semiconductor or insulating materials, then this type of substrates of insulating material or substrates of semiconducting material are not that useful, okay. So we will stop here, okay, and we will see our next technique in the next lecture. Thank you.